It's still we're the last three traveling champions still alive.
It's crazy.
It
So
is.
the final build of your I Quit matches is the plastic bag angle. You talked about it a little bit before. Here's the Meltzer recap. It comes from a match with you and Sting against Dick Slater and the Great Muta. It's going to end by DQ. The match itself was excellent, but the angle afterwards has turned into one of the major controversies. All sorts of good moves, some of which the cameras actually caught. The heat was incredible. They did one excellent false finish where Gary Hart hit Sting with a foreign object, and it looked like a sure fall, but Sting kicked out. Flair bled at the 17-minute mark, and the ref wound up on the floor. Terry Funk, who came out of the hospital specifically for this angle, put a plastic bag over Flair's head and quote unquote tried to suffocate him. At the same time, Slater hit Sting's ankle several times with the branding iron, and the faces were both left laying and quote unquote out. 4.5 stars, a lot of heat, but there's a lot of kids watching. And boy, I think the folks at Turner were none too happy about this
Yeah.
plastic bag. What do you remember about this?
So I remember exactly what they're talking about. They were furious, but um, that's when you could get heat and you could do things. But we did it. That's why it didn't matter who won or lost the match. We had so damn much heat going into it. People wanted to see it. You know what I mean?
Right.
There was no. It's like social media. I mean, it doesn't allow the guys to get heat anymore. That's the only thing I don't like about wrestling is that you can't really tell. I mean, the guys now are more interested in signing autographs. I used to, even when I was traveling with Hunter and Evolution, I used to go, heels don't sign, bad guys don't sign. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? Because it's just like, even though you're the bad guy, they'll do anything for an autograph. Did that make sense to you?
Yes.
And that was unheard of. That's probably the hardest thing I've ever had to figure out is how you could just, we could be so brutally beat people up like we beat up Dusty how many times, right? I mean, beat up the Road Warriors. I mean, but their characters were so strong that they not only made it come back in the ring, we would just we didn't have to even get them off their feet. The people
Right.
never sat down in towns like Philadelphia and Baltimore and that because they were over so big as not just bay faces but as characters.
Hmm. Terry Funk was asked once, do you remember being in an instance where someone was going too hard? They were too snug, they were too stiff, and you asked them to ease up? And he was almost incredulous. Well, no, I'd never say some shit like that. I just thought that was so hilarious. Like he was almost offended. Of course not. I'm Terry Funk. Bring it.
Exactly.
And this is cool for you too, because this is a hardened edge for you. I mean, of course you've done bad guy things, but it's rare that we see you in a brawl like this. And man, you're bringing out the best in each other. I know, you
Yeah.
think you had your best matches with Ricky Steamboat and Sting. I don't know how anybody could really argue that, but give me more of this every time, man. This is
Yeah, I
fantastic.
mean, I think the fans miss this kind of stuff.
Oh, for sure. If this wasn't Ball Pit on Twitter wants to know if this wasn't an I Quit match, would there have been another quote unquote gimmick match you would have enjoyed to have with Terry?
Well, I liked cage matches. Um, when I liked what was that match I had with all the last man standing kind of stuff? I like those. I like all
Yeah.
that stuff. But once again, it all depends on who you're in the ring with. So I don't
Right.
think he's not laying lumber on me there too. You know what I mean? He
For sure.
knows. Ask me how excited I was to take this again.